Welcome to Thriving with ADHD, a podcast where we'll share everyday practical tips to thrive in life as an adult with ADHD. This podcast is brought to you by Animo Sano Psychiatry, a behavioral health practice with a specialist ADHD clinic based in North Carolina. And this is your host, Nada Pupovac. Welcome to Thriving with ADHD, dear ADHD community. This month, we talk about how to create ADHD-friendly home and office spaces. Animo Sano's physician assistant, Maddison Henley, is our guest, and she will share more details about this important topic. As always, we will learn more about Maddison before we start our conversation with her. Maddison is a dedicated physician assistant with a passion for mental health care. She is a former student of Mercer University, where she obtained her bachelor's degree and completed physician assistant studies. She has worked in outpatient behavioral health care since 2021. Her commitment to providing compassionate and comprehensive care is evident in her approach, ensuring that her patients feel heard, understood, and supported. As a result of her commitment to our patients and keen interest in mental health education, Maddison has been promoted to Associate Director of Clinical Operations and Clinical Education at Animo Sano Psychiatry. Maddison, welcome back to Thriving with ADHD. I am really happy to have you back. And this month, we will be talking about organizing our home and workspace to help us with ADHD. So yeah, happy to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here and discuss this topic today.
Yeah, I'd say it's a biggie for people with ADHD. And so let's jump right into the first question. So what are some key environmental elements that people with ADHD should consider when designing their home and office spaces to enhance focus and productivity?
So it's really important to create an environment that minimizes distractions and also promotes organization. That can be really crucial for individuals that have been diagnosed with ADHD. Some of the key elements to consider include having a decluttered space. So a lot of times it's hard for us to focus if we have a really cluttered desk area or home office or work environment. So just trying to keep like our area tidy and clean and removing unnecessary items because that can reduce the number of visual distractions that you have and help you maintain focus and also just make you more comfortable to not have all of the clutter in the way that might be increasing some of that anxiety. Organizational systems can be really important. So implementing different easy to use storage solutions, maybe even considering labeling those different like containers or folders or things like that to make things easier to find and reduce the amount of time that you're spending on searching for items or looking for things when you need them. Um, a lot of times having a minimalist design can be really helpful. Having like a simple, clean design that is beneficial, but simple enough to not be distracting or overstimulating and not taking away from concentrating on what you need to concentrate on. I also usually tell patients that it's really important to have dedicated workspaces, especially if you're in like a home office or home work environment. So having like a clear area where this is where I do my work, this is my desk, this is where I work and get things done. And then having separate areas for where you relax or do other activities. The same can be said. I usually tell people like don't go do your work in bed, don't sit in your bed with your laptop because your brain needs to associate your bed with sleep and not with work to even help with sleep hygiene. That's a whole nother topic, but
Yes.
kind of same thing with work environment. So like your desk is where you work and not where you do gaming or other things so that your brain kind of associates like me sitting in my office right now as when I'm working and I'm in kind of my work mode and not in my leisure mode. The same thing with having kind of comfortable environment, comfortable furniture, like making sure that you're investing in um, like chairs that support good posture and that keep you comfortable. Because if you're not physically comfortable, that can kind of exacerbate some of the restlessness that we can see with ADHD and um, kind of keep you there for longer periods of time versus feeling like you need to get up and move around. Keeping the things that you need in your work environment so that you're not frequently having to get up and search in a different room for what you need, because that can also lead to kind of unnecessary distractions or interruptions in your workflow.
Yes, and thanks for mentioning this. We talked before in some previous episode about decluttering, but I also really like that you mentioned these associations with certain things that you're doing with certain
Mhm.
spaces that can help you to get into the mood sooner rather than later and just
Yeah.
get on with the things. So that was really great. And
Mhm.
let's talk about sensory inputs such as lighting, noise, and color that can impact people with ADHD and how these factors can be managed or optimized even in home and work environments.
Yeah, so sensory inputs obviously play a significant role too. They can be both distracting for individuals with ADHD, but there's also certain things that you can do to like help enhance focus with those sensory inputs too. So kind of starting with lighting, natural light is usually the most beneficial. You don't want something that's super harsh or flickering lights or things like that that are going to be distracting. Considering like adjustable lighting options that have dimmable options or things like that that you can adjust if you need it to. Warm tones are usually better than those kind of cooler, harsh lighting options. So kind of helping that to create a calming atmosphere. Um, Noise is one of those things that I get a little bit of back and forth on with people. So I have a good number of patients who are like, yep, if I have background noise, it's completely distracting to me if there's something going on outside or if my roommate's playing music or something like that. So for in those cases, using noise canceling headphones can be really helpful. Or I have some patients where we have them get a white noise machine or even play white noise on their phone so that it kind of drowns out some of that outside noise, like maybe in another room or another office next to you. Um, I have other patients who are like, if it's too quiet, I cannot focus at all, and I get distracted more easily. So it actually helps them to have something on in the background that's obviously not something super distracting, like a TV show or something, but maybe just something like some instrumental music in the background that can kind of help keep them concentrated and focused. So can kind of go either way in those cases, but either way, not having excessive background noise. And if you are having something on in the background, making sure that it's not something that's distracting you from what you're doing. So yeah, that's kind of how noise usually goes. Colors definitely can affect mood and can affect kind of our focus too. I mean, usually we would recommend doing like calming colors, not anything that's too bright or distracting or overstimulating. Usually kind of using colors to kind of balance your environment. So picking things that are gonna help create a happy environment for you. I do though have kind of on the other hand some patients that like really like having different colored pens or different colored sticky notes or things like that that help keep them engaged because it's exciting for them to have all the different colored pens. And so I mean if that works for you, great. But like in terms of like furniture choices and like wall colors and things like that, not picking something that's too overstimulating for you. Textures, scents, that kind of thing. I mean, just being mindful that you're not picking like fabrics that are uncomfortable for like your chair that you're sitting in. And if you are going to have like a candle on, making sure that it's not something that's like overly distracting and maybe something that's more of like a comforting like low level, I guess, and just again kind of making sure that it's not taking away from your focus on what you're trying to do with work or school or whatever during that time.
Hmm. I like that, and we'll touch later on the personalization and like individual approach to each of these solutions, and that there is no one size fits all.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about. I like that, and we'll talk about that a bit more later. But let's maybe touch on some specific tools or apps or technologies that you can recommend for those with ADHD that can help in task management and just maintenance of ADHD friendly space.
Yeah, I feel like there's new ones that come out every single day, as I'm sure this isn't a exhaustive list.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of options that you can kind of search out there. But there's a ton of different task management apps that can be really helpful. Some of my patients really like Todoist, Trello, Asana. Those are some of the big ones that I've heard a lot of people use and see some benefits with just helping organize your tasks, setting deadlines for things that you need to get done, breaking down projects into kind of those smaller, more manageable steps. I think that, and I typically recommend both a digital calendar and a personal, like handheld calendar or one that you can leave on your desk for patients. But the digital calendars really can be beneficial because if you're on the go and don't have that paper calendar with you, you can add things and take away things from your calendar on the go. And I even have some patients like that use Google Calendar and they share it with their spouse so that they can both add and take away, and they're kind of always on the same page with obligations that they might have as a family. So the digital calendars can be really helpful too. There's a lot of different focus enhancement apps. Forest gamifies focus periods. That's one. Focus at will is another one that I've had some patients use. There's yeah, there's a lot of different ways where you can have like music tracking your ability to stay on track, and like having set periods of time to do things that kind of makes a game almost out of those small chunks of time that you're using to focus. Um, the different digital assistants. I mean, AI is crazy and expanding so much that a lot of the like voice activated assistants like Siri, Alexa, Google are really helpful. And just I mean, you can literally be in the middle of cooking, and if you have like Siri or Alexa close by, you can tell them to add something to your to-do list so that you don't forget. Because I mean, we know forgetfulness is a huge thing with
Mhm.
ADHD. You can literally, in that moment, while you're still doing something else, have one of those digital assistants kind of help you out with like adding a timer, adding an alarm, or adding something to your calendar or to-do list for you, so that you're not forgetting and 30 minutes later when you're done cooking, forgetting to add that thing that you needed to do. So those can be really helpful as well. Kind of going back to timers and alarms, um, I stand by timers and alarms as being something that's really easy but super beneficial for people when, like, even if it's just remembering to take your medication every day, like having a timer set that's not a timer, but like a recurring reminder every
Mhm.
day that pops up saying like take your medicine, it's 8 o'clock or whatever. Same things with alarms, like if you do need to have a period of time where you really need to get some work done, like using the Pomodoro method with timers and alarms and setting yourself like 20-minute intervals of time, and then taking a break after that alarm goes off, and just using different kind of time blocks like that can be really helpful for sustaining focus in that time and then rewarding yourself with a little bit of a break. Um, there's also a ton of different like smart home accessories that can be used, like with the smart lighting, could control the lighting on your phone, or change something there so that you're not having to get up and distract yourself by turning the light off or changing the settings on something like that that can be done with something while you're sitting at your desk. So those are just a few. I'm sure that there's a ton of other options out there, but some of the ones that some of my patients have seen really helpful.
I love some of these, and it seems like it's almost easier to manage these days with technology than maybe
Yeah,
it
for
used to
sure.
be. So why not take advantage of it?
Yeah,
I'd say.
absolutely.
Yeah, and you touched on it previously on specific zones in the home, but maybe we can talk more about setting up a structured routine within your home or workspace to help you manage your tasks and generally enhance productivity.
Mhm. Yeah, I think structure is super important. For everyone, but especially for people with ADHD, just
Mm-hmm.
because having that structure creates a lot of predictability, and like routines are really helpful for kind of keeping you in that focus mode for those times that you have set aside for different tasks. Having consistent routines reduces like that mental load of decision making too, because you already have it penciled in, like this time to this time I'm going to do this time to this time I'm going to do that, and so you don't have to decide, oh, when am I going to fit this into my schedule, because it's already there. Um, and so it allows you to kind of focus your energy on the tasks instead of the actual logistics of scheduling everything and deciding when you're going to do each task. Um, I like to have people, especially students, they're like, well, I never leave enough time to study, and then I wait till last minute, I don't have enough time. And so I tell them to like pencil it in the same way that they would a class. Like you have class from 8 to 9:30 or whatever, maybe in the afternoons, like have yourself an hour or two block where you're like, from 3 to 4 I'm going to study, from 4 to 5 I'm going to clean up a little bit, from 5 to 6 is when I'm going to focus on getting some food and eating dinner and
Mm-hmm.
unwinding a little bit, and kind of having like even just those everyday things like penciled into your calendar so that you know when you're doing what, and so that you're leaving yourself time to do those things too. Because I think that that's important so that you're not putting everything off until last minute, like we see a lot of times with procrastination and ADHD, and even kind of going back to like sleep. I have a lot of ADHD patients who will put everything off until right before bedtime. And so then they end up going to bed really late because they put everything off for the day until right then. And then they feel like they have to do everything before they're able to go to sleep. And so, like, having these set times of like every Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to clean the bathroom and things like that to just keep yourself in a good routine. And obviously, routines can be flexible to it. It doesn't have to be something that's set in stone, and like inhibitive of doing new things, but
Mm-hmm.
can be really helpful just to have like a good backbone in your routine. Again, with the like designated areas, kind of having those specific areas of, I'm going to do work or studies or um, like business tasks in this one room, my office room or my office corner or whatever, and then I'm going to have like my living room or my gaming room or my bed for like leisure activities, and so that you're not kind of intertwining the two and signaling to your brain when it's time for work and focus and when it's time for relaxation and unwinding. um, the visual cues, kind of going back to that, having visual cues and organized spaces, like even visual cues for like keeping your workout shoes in one area so that you see them and you're like, oh, I need to remember to work out, or keep a consistency with my workout routines, and kind of having those visual cues that help too. I even sometimes have some patients who will leave sticky notes on their doors, like if they are worried that they're going to forget something for work that next day that's important,
Mm-hmm.
like having a sticky note on the door so that you make sure that you get that one thing that you need before you leave. Uh, what else? Um, Again, kind of just reducing the distractions that are in your environment, minimizing like different options that might cause interruptions so that you can kind of keep your attention and focus on the tasks that you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's really great. I suppose whatever works and reminders, and you can literally use your home and your environment um, as a playground for reminders or whatever can help you to
Hmm.
stay focused and organized. So why not? And
Yeah.
yeah, and related to that and what we talked about earlier, um, some people prefer one set of lights, colors, or noises, and then to other patients, something different is better and works better for them.
Mhm.
So let's talk a bit more about those. personalized approaches in setting up our environment so that caters to our unique needs and preferences.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important to personalize things to make your task management and productivity effective for you. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of different ways that you can customize like organizational methods. So choosing things that align with the way that your brain works. Like if you're a visual person, maybe having open shelving that you can see where everything is at would be more beneficial. Other people might like things organized differently or tucked away in like a drawer, things like that, or a closed closet. So kind of taking organization to a way that works for you. Same thing with like studying, or if you're working on a big project, like if you're not somebody who can just sit in front of a computer and like read off of a screen, like printing things out and highlighting and writing notes and using the colorful pens and different things like that that might work for you. Um, I have some people too, like if you're better with like audio stuff, like you can look into a lot of different resources out there that can do like the text to speech and having like your computer or phone read things to you instead of having to read it yourself so that you can listen to it instead of reading it yourself. And so that could be different ways that you can have things like that done that works for kind of what type of learner you are too. Obviously, like again, incorporating personal interests, like making your decor something that is like maybe inspiring to you or visually appealing to you, but also making sure that it's not too distracting. Because I mean, personal touches can definitely make it a lot more inviting and comfortable and make you feel like more at home in those settings, but not to an extent where it's taking away from your focus and concentration. Um, Having flexibility in your workspace, I think, is good too for people with ADHD. Like just allowing yourself to like move things around if you need to, or having a desk that can go from the sitting to standing, or maybe having a different seating option that you can switch out, or different things like that. Because that can help too with like managing some of the restlessness, making sure that you're not feeling kind of unsettled in that space, or have the ability to move things around if you need to, or give yourself a little bit of change every now and then. Same thing with like adjustable sensory elements, like being able to dim the lights or adjust the curtains or have a speaker on when you want it to, or kind of modifying those things based on like your needs at that time. And maybe what type of task you're doing, whether it's something that you need to study for like a big test, or if you're just kind of going through emails, like might be different for those different settings, for those kind of things too. And then just regularly reevaluating like what works for you and what doesn't. So you might try something and it doesn't work well, and you can be flexible with that and change it. And if you do find something that works really well for you, kind of looking at other ways that you can implement things that are similar, to kind of maintain that environment that's working well for your focus and functioning well for you as an individual.
That's really great. I think you gave us lots of ideas and how things could be adjusted based on individual needs. Even for a single person, depends on where we are and how we feel. We could really just
Yeah.
change things around. So yeah, that's really great. Thank you so much. And to finish this conversation, if there is one thing that you would like our listeners to take away from everything we talked about, what that would be?
Yeah, I think like you said, like most importantly is you have to create an environment that works for you and is tailored to your individual needs, because that can really enhance the way that you focus and your productivity. With ADHD, having small, thoughtful like touches and your personalization in a space can really make a big difference. Obviously, the way that you have those things set up can either kind of make or break your ability to focus and concentrate in those settings, and can really set you up for success if you're doing it right, and can be kind of harmful if you're having a more distracting environment that's not kind of working for your learning type or your ability to focus and things like that. And again, like being flexible with it, don't hesitate to kind of experiment with things that might be different, just to see what works best for you, because it is a personal journey, and just getting kind of an environment that is organized and works well for your individual needs.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. Um, I mean, trying things out, learning along the way, maybe
Yeah,
not beating yourself up if something is not working for you.
yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Madison.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was a great conversation. We learned a lot from you, and I really can't wait to have you on another episode.
yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Thriving with ADHD. This show is produced by Animo Sano Psychiatry. Please follow, rate, or share our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other streaming app of your choice. Music is by Daddy's Music from Pixabay. For more information about Animo Sano Psychiatry, please visit animosanopsychiatry.com.